Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer on Living in Harmony, Our Wondrous World. I'm super excited you're here. We are jumping right in today, taking a fascinating journey that literally starts in the familiarity of our own living rooms and then zooms way out into the vast, amazing ecological balance of our world. We're going to look at the plants and animals we share our spaces with and see exactly how everything in nature is just so deeply intertwined.
But before we really get going, I want you to take just a second and look around your immediate environment. Seriously, take a look and think about this question. Do any of these animals or plants live in your house? It sounds like a simple question, right? But it really prompts us to consider what living things we actively share our space with every single day, whether we realize it or not.
Think about walking out your front door and seeing familiar domestic animals nearby, or maybe a vibrant, beautiful pink potted rose sitting right there on the porch. This perfectly grounds us in where we're starting today. You see, a lot of times we think of nature as this wild thing happening way out there in a forest somewhere, but our reality is deeply tied to these everyday domestic interactions right at our doorstep.
So here is our roadmap for today. First, sharing our homes. Second, the uninvited guests. Third, we need each other. And fourth, building empathy for nature. Let's dive right into Part 1. Section 1. Sharing our homes.
Whether it's a cat curled up comfortably on the couch or a goat walking out on the grass, we happily share our homes and our immediate surroundings with familiar animals. And when we do this, we're taking on a really active role. We provide them with vital things, water, food, safe shelter, creating this daily bond of care.
But, our care doesn't just stop at animals. We literally bring pieces of nature indoors to nurture and grow alongside us. Think of a leafy, flowering houseplant sitting in a bright red pot. By giving these plants water and a good spot to thrive, they are bringing life, color, and fresh air right into our rooms. We're basically cultivating our own little mini ecosystems.
Which brings us to Section 2, the uninvited guests.
Now think about a snail slowly moving across a leaf, or a green grasshopper hanging out on a plant stem. These are the fascinating little wildlife visitors, the insects, the small birds, the bugs, that sometimes just wander right inside. Why do you think these tiny creatures come into our homes? Are they looking for food? Maybe shelter? And maybe more importantly, how do you feel when they suddenly show up in your space? It's a really great moment to stop and reflect on our immediate reactions to unexpected nature.
Now, the absolutely crucial takeaway here is that we have to emphasize not hurting these animals, even if we don't really like them or, honestly, even if they scare us a little bit. The source material gives us this gentle reminder of a fundamental truth. Animals generally don't hurt others unless they feel threatened by us. So our goal should always be to just observe them calmly without causing any harm.
Actually, what's super interesting is how we can turn one of these uninvited guests into a brilliant little home science experiment. The text sets up this really fun interactive ant feeding activity. You place 3 distinct types of food on the floor, about a foot apart. Something sweet, like sugar or jaggery, something fried, like papad or muruku, and something boiled, like bread, rice, or idli. Then, you make a guess. Which food is going to attract the ants first? Where will they even come from? It totally flips our perspective from seeing ants as just a nuisance to observing them as these fascinating subjects of study.
All right, let's move on to Section 3. We need each other.
I want you to think about what this mutual dependence actually looks like in practice. Because on one hand, yes, we give care, protection, food, and shelter to the nature we tend. But look at the flip side. What we get back is just staggering. From animals, we get things like milk and, of course, loving companionship. From plants, we get essential medicines, wood to build our homes, and cooling shade. It is a profound two-way street of survival and comfort. We really are in this together.
To truly grasp how this natural world sustains itself, we need to break down 2 really essential ecological actions performed by animals right from our source text. First is dispersing. Animals help plants survive by dispersing, which basically just means spreading, their seeds near and far. Second, animals make the soil fertile. They make the ground rich and healthy through their waste. These 2 incredibly important functions are exactly what ensure that plants can grow, spread, and thrive all across the earth.
Okay, I absolutely love this next quote pulled directly from the chapter. Listen to this. Thousands of trees are accidentally planted by squirrels. They bury nuts and then forget where they hid them.
Isn't that just amazing? It so perfectly captures how harmony and ecological balance are maintained in these totally unexpected, completely accidental, but absolutely necessary ways.
Which leads us nicely into Section 4, Building Empathy for Nature.
Picture yourself sitting quietly outside, maybe sketching or writing, while a bird visits a little hanging water bowl right nearby. The chapter suggests a really powerful calming exercise, visiting a plant friend. The whole idea is that when you're feeling sad, upset, or angry, you can literally go to a specific plant or tree and talk to it about how you're feeling. It's an incredibly effective way, especially for young or quiet kids, to process their emotions while at the same time developing this profound sense of empathy for living things.
And to build that connection even further, we can use a get-to-know an animal observation checklist. Instead of just kind of passively glancing at an animal as it walks by, it challenges us to actively engage, provide some water and grains, note exactly when and where you see them, describe their unique movements, the specific sounds they make, notice their sleeping and eating habits. This kind of structured observation turns passing curiosity into genuine, deep understanding and empathy.
And applying that empathy, it leads to wonderful real-world actions, like this amazing, heartwarming story from Valpyre mentioned in the text. When the very first migrating gray wagtails, which are a type of bird, arrive in the area, the local children and teachers actually throw a celebration. I'm completely serious. They distribute sweets to everyone and put up welcome posters for the birds. It is just a stunning example of a community living in true, joyful harmony with their environment. So I'm going to leave you with one final, provocative question directly from the source material today. Do you know why these birds are called wagtails? Find out. Let that curiosity drive you. Keep questioning, keep observing, and keep learning about the amazing plants and animals right outside and sometimes inside your own front door. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I will catch you on the next one.